Shraddha, unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. I'm Shraddha, a second year PGDM student at Soil School of Business Design, and I welcome you all to today's webinar on what MBA interview panels really look for. As many of you are preparing for MBA interviews, shortlisting candidates, this session is designed to give you a real clarity, not any assumptions, about how interview panels actually evaluate candidates during an interview, especially in a profile-based selection process that goes beyond entrance exam scores. I'm privileged to have with us members of SOIL's admission leadership team today. ANB Sir, Director 1 Year PGPM, Dheeraj Sir, Head of Admissions PGPM and PGDM, Santosh Sir, Assistant Director, Admissions PGPM and PGDM. Together, they bring years of experience in interviewing and selecting MBA candidates, and I hope you all are equally excited to learn directly from them. ANB sir, would you like to address students on what can they expect today out of today's webinar?
Thank you, Shraddha. Uh, Thank you for inviting me for this webinar. I think it is a very good initiative which you have taken to educate the students about how they should prepare themselves to crack the soil interview. For the benefit of students, let me actually tell them that soil is a very different school. We do not follow what is a typical IQ-based selection process, and we have what is called a profile-based selection process. And we firmly believe in multiple intelligence rather than only the unilateral IQ based selection. So on one side, academics and scores are important, but there are other aspects also which are very important, and which is what we in fact look at when we are doing a an interview, or the entire selection process is based on that. And as we go forward in this particular webinar, maybe I'll specifically talk about what are the different aspects students should actually focus on when they are coming for an interview. So that is an initial thought that I thought I'll share with the students here.
Thank you, sir. I hope this must have given some clarity to the attendees here. So, without any further delay, let's begin the conversation. My very first question for you is to start with, for an interviewer's perspective, what are the first few things that you begin observing about a candidate in the initial minutes of an MBA interview?
This is for me, Shraddha, isn't it?
Yes, you can take it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me tell you the approach that soil has during the admission process, or rather the interview process, is that we look at the potential of that particular candidate to be a potential employee. So if I'm a recruiter, if I'm a company, whether I would recruit this particular candidate in my company or not. Now, companies normally recruit on the basis of attitude. Aptitude is something that will be built over a period of time when they do their MBA program. Or when a company hires somebody, aptitude is something that they train people for. But attitude is something which, in fact, students come along with. So what we try to see is during that course of personal interview, what is the attitude of that particular candidate? Now, this is a very typical word, attitude, and oftentimes it is actually confused as how do we assess what is an attitude. So we typically say that there are four aspects of attitude. The first aspect of attitude is say whether the candidate has learnability or not, whether he's open to learning or not. Or is he close to feedback? He doesn't want to learn anything. He says, okay, I know everything. I am a 98 percentiler. I am actually, a topper in my class. So I don't think I need anything else. I have learned everything. So how open is a person as far as learning is concerned? Now, this has become important in today's world because the world is changing very fast and every company is going through all sorts of change management processes. So learnability is important. The second most important thing that we check is whether a person is able to relate to whatever he has done in the past with whatever he is expected to do in the future. So if he has an experience in the past, whether he is able to relate that experience with how is he going to do this or use that knowledge in future. So somebody has organized something extremely well in his school in an event. What is that particular event talking about his own personal qualities? whether he is a good coordinator, whether he is a good organizer, whether he is a good initiator, whether he is a good, a person who can build relations. So this relatability is something which is important, which is the second aspect. The third aspect that we check during a person interview is whether this particular person has critical thinking ability or not. We also call it abstract reasoning. We also call it the ability to handle ambiguity. Like if the situation is complex, does he get overwhelmed by that complex situation or can he handle it? Does he have a proper structured approach to solving a particular problem? He might not have the problem, but does he have the approach to it or not? If he has an approach to it, then obviously solutions would follow through. So this is the third thing that we see. And the fourth and the most important thing that we actually see is whether the person has execution ability or not. Whether he is a man of only ideas or can he actually implement that also. So if he says that, okay, he had done something in his school, so we ask him, okay, how did you do it? What were the processes you followed? Who were involved? So that actually talks about his ability to, in fact, work on ground. Is he willing to actually dirty his hands while doing a particular job? So execution ability is the fourth and the most important aspect that we normally check during a person interview. These are the four aspects we normally check in the course of an interview.
Um, yeah, yes, sir. These points were actually, I was able to relate to all four of these points because we like these creates a foundation and a basic line for an MBA aspirant to enter a B school with these mindsets. Let's move on to our next question.
Before you go
Many
to the next,
aspirants.
before you go to the next question, let me actually also clarify one thing. If you look at the corporate jobs that are there in the market, when you join a particular company, you are expected to learn new things. So if you do not have learnability, then companies will have a challenge. How can they actually make somebody learn? You will have to see to it that how is your past experience going to help you in picking up the new jobs. You will have to have a critical thinking ability because times are changing, situations are changing, new technology is coming in, whether you will actually use those things or not. And then finally, you will have to execute it. You cannot simply think that somebody else will come and execute it and you'll simply ideate. So a manager is not, or a leader is not somebody who will just give ideas and sit back. He has to, pull up his sleeves and work on the ground. So that's why in today's corporate world, these four abilities are a must for any candidate.
That brings us to our next question. Many aspirants feel interviews are mainly about validating resumes and exam scores, but in reality, what is the interview actually trying to assess in a candidate?
So this is increasingly getting changed, and in soil we never actually did it right from the very first year. Resumes are just a black and white aspect of a particular person's personality. It does not talk about the attitude part. So whenever we are actually going through our different stages of life, there are many subtle learning, certain knowledge that we gain, which is called the tacit knowledge. Like no resume will ever talk about my ability to in fact make friends in my class. No resume will ever talk about the challenges that I faced and how did I overcome that. No resume will talk about my social quotient, how as a football player I was able to build that team and create a powerful team so that my school became probably one of the best in the district or in the state. So these are certain aspects which are not mentioned there. And that is why we say resume or simply going by the resume is a very narrow view of looking at the ability of a particular candidate. It might talk about a few aspects. It might talk about somebody's mathematical ability. But like research has actually proved that mathematical ability is not just about mathematics. It is about handling critical situations, handling complex situations. Somebody might be from a social science background, but he might have great critical thinking skills. So that is why resume is not really the right way of evaluating a particular candidate. Yes, it will give you some tangible aspects of a personality, but it is more important to have an interaction where you understand the four different aspects that I talked about.
Dheeraj sir, Santosh sir, do you want to add on?
Yeah, thank you, Shraddha. I think Sir has explained very well about. I think the first question that you had asked about the first in an opening minute what normally we assess a student, and the second one about their resume and assessing them. Yes, both I think sir has well taken about explaining them, like what exactly we are looking further and how do we go about. Yes, just adding upon to what sir has said, a small line maybe. Yes, the data that you have already mentioned is the resume that we are already going through or we have already gone through it. So we're looking for something what is behind the data. So exactly is like we are not looking for the right answers, but the real answers. So just to add that particular for combining these two questions that you had asked, Shraddha, and maybe that questions normally remains in the mind of the students. Yes.
Yeah, even I feel that justification of your resume is really important.
Yeah.
So my next question is, so soil follows a profile-based selection approach. Can you please explain what this really means in practice, especially for candidates who worry about cutoffs?
Okay. I think I'll take that question, sir. Uh, as Sir also said, yes, we follow a profile-based selection process where we have multi-dimensional way of evaluating a candidate rather than sticking to any one parameter. Say the aptitude that can be the entrance exam, and normally this is very common thing that is students keep asking, what is the cutoff? What is the cutoff? So that they get secure in understanding should I apply or not. At Soil, we believe that we do not judge a candidate at only one parameter. That is why we are looking for this other multidimensional things, that is the attitude, your critical thinking, your creativity, your ability to solve problems. So all these things plays a very important role where we have this 1200 hours hectic schedule of course curriculum imbibed with your sociology, anthropology, and then psychology, and other than that, yoga, dance, and all those things. We need persons who can adapt to this cycle, basically, where you have the capacity to think, relate, and then motivate, and then build yourself. That I can adapt to the situation with that hectic schedule in balancing my mindfulness also. So thus we are looking for candidates more than this percentage or percentile basically. So in profile, what happens is we at the initial stage, yes, we look for their academic background, followed by their entrance exam, the contribution they have done towards maybe somewhere we see students going for NGO social in initiatives, their engagement in extracurricular activities, plus the kind of internships they do. Like in a way, we would like to understand what was the time, how did they engage themselves in multiple things, followed by the group exercise, the personal interview, and the next level of selection process that follows. So in a profile, it is not that we are sticking to any one. Rather, we have weightages defined for all these parameters. There are certain weightages for each parameters, and then you perform. The better you perform, the better weightage you get, and then at the final, we see what is the total score that is coming out. Based on that, we put them into top order, and then the list one, two, three is released accordingly. So this is basically profile where you don't have to worry that I've got something less in my 10th maybe, or my final year maybe, or entrance exam. I still have the opportunity to prove myself with my other abilities and capacities. Anything you would like to add, sir or Santosh?
Yeah, profile means we want to see the entire journey of the candidate. It is not like only one parameter. We want to see the whole journey, start from his academic, entrance exam score, past achievements, everything. So based on the overall profile, we used to shortlist the candidate. So
Here,
it
I
it,
think
it
sir can
includes
add
everything.
one thing about the life map that normally we try to evaluate a candidate who's looking for a 1 year program, basically. So if you can just throw some light on that life map part.
Yeah, so in fact, you have very well captured the entire profile based selection that we have. I will actually start with an example, and I will tell you that, say, for example, if somebody is a very good football player or a cricket player, now is he actually fit to be a good leader or not? So in soil, we believe that a cricket player or a football player or any other team sports player, he is one person who is a great collaborator. He is a great strategist. When the team enters the football field, they do not know what will the opponent do, but they have to be mentally agile to see to it that if the opponent team does some difference in their strategy, they have to respond immediately. So this is the mental agility that we say a student should have. Now, if you simply outrightly reject a candidate by saying, "Oh, he's a sports person. He is not. He's an average in academics, but a more of a sports person. He will not be a great corporate leader." Wrong. We feel that some of those people who are average in their academics but very good when it comes to team sports, they actually make very good strategic leaders. Now, this is what is profile based learning or profile based selection. When we look at a candidate's entire journey, we try to understand what were those moments that they consider as most valuable for them, and which were those moments in their life which they consider were the most, they felt absolutely low. So high points and low points, these are the two aspects we normally see in a life map.
Right.
Now, when somebody considers something as a high point, we try to understand why is he or she considering that to be a high point. And that description of why he or she is considering that to be a high point will talk 1,000 words about that person's personality. Say, for example, somebody says, "My high point was when I was actually the football captain and my school actually won the district championship." I would say, "Okay, what happiness did you get? You did not get a cash prize for this." Well, no, sir, I was very happy because my school became the first and I could, take my school's name to the next level. Now, here is a person who is actually taking pride in the fact that he is working for an organization which is his school, and he is working towards how can he actually improve the stature of the school by his own personal contribution. Now, leaders or good managers are those who will not work for their own self. They will work for the organization, they will work for their team. Now, this you will get to know only if you create a life map. If you actually talk to somebody about a low point, and if somebody says, "Okay, when I actually was, made a part of say, for example, a debating competition, and I lost the debate to my opponent, and that was actually a low point because I was always thinking that I was a very good, communicator. But that low point, it helped me learn my weaknesses, and I started working hard on my communication. And the next 2 years, I worked hard. And by the time I was in my graduation, I was actually one of the prominent speakers in the school, in college. This low point, assessment of the low point, and then trying to see to it that, okay, what is it that I can do to come out of that low point? This is something which is called the positive attitude of an individual with a growth mindset. You learn from your mistakes, you reflect on the negative points, and then build your profile. Now, these are two examples of why we actually talk of low points and high points, and how are they, in fact, giving us more insight into the overall, you can call it the character of a candidate. So, if we do this life map, it actually gives us a much more deeper and a clearer insight into a person's, you know, personality.
Thank you, sir, for helping everybody understand this aspect, I think. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that was really insightful. That actually brings up to my next question that is relatable to the previous question. How much weightage do entrance exam scores and cutoffs carry once a candidate reaches the interview stage?
Okay. See, at soil, somewhere around 40% goes towards the selection, that's the personal interview and group exercise, followed by another 25 goes towards their academic and then extracurricular activity engagements and all. So the remaining, say, 35% goes towards the entrance exam part. So maximum side of the weightage that is there still there in the hand of a student is their academic, their group exercise, and the personal interview performance. So whereas 70% is still there in the hand of a student.
Okay, I think in PGDM case, like more weightage given to the entrance exam. But if we talk about PM program, that is 1 year, so more weightage given to the work ex part. Am I right, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. My next question is, one key evaluation lens in the capacity to think and learn. What kind of responses clearly signal this quality to an interview panel?
Okay. NB sir, we will request you to take
You'll have
this.
to repeat the question. I missed out the question.
Okay, so one key evaluation lens in the capacity to, with respect to think and learn, what kind of responses clearly signal that this quality to an interview panel is attractive or is appealing?
So, in a person interview, what happens is generally, what we do is we give situations to the candidate. Now, the response of the candidate is seen to that particular situation. And I can typically talk of a 1 year program where people come with some amount of experience and we give them a situation. Say, for example, there is a question of moonlighting. There are, say, a situation is given to a candidate by TK, okay, you are the HR head of a company, and suddenly you get to know that one of your employees who is a very good performer. He is actually a very disciplined, very good performer, and probably he is achieving all his targets also well in time. But you get to know that he is actually moonlighting. After office hours, he works for 2 more hours for another company, which is a non-competing company. There is no conflict of interest. And when you get to know this, your company has a very clear-cut policy that if there is any moonlight, he will not be allowed and he shall be terminated. Now, as an HR manager, what is your decision? Will you actually terminate him? If you terminate him, then he is the best performer of your company. So you lose a resource. In a world where, in fact, good resources are difficult to get, you are losing. On the other side, if you do not fire him, then there is a situation where others will also start doing this moonlighting. Now, what will you do as a manager? You have to, in fact, evaluate the response. So some of them will respond by saying that, oh, we will escalate it to the senior manager because it is not my problem. I will actually escalate it to the senior. So that is an escapist tendency that you do not want to take a stand. The other stand could be somebody will show, no, the policy is very clear, so I will actually straightway see to it that he is terminated. A more rational answer would be we'll try to find out that why is he doing it? Is there a personal challenge that he is facing? Maybe he has a personal family problem for which he requires additional financial assistance and his salary is less and probably that is why he's sourcing some other revenue source for himself. Can we find out a mechanism whereby if there is a family challenge, can we actually give him a promotion? Can we give him some incentives? Can we create different sort of a compensation mechanism so that good performers are rewarded so that they do not think of moonlighting? At the same time, the not so good performers, they also know that if they perform, they will also get the same reward. So this situation actually talks about a person's rationality in terms of whether he has got the right structured approach to a particular problem rather than solving a problem with a one size fits all solution. So for each individual, because we are dealing with human beings and each human being will have different situations. Now, how do you come up with a situation so that your organization benefits the most, your team benefits the most, and your good performers are rewarded the best? So such situations actually give a very clear-cut idea, and it could be in any situation. It could be I'm giving you this situation of moonlighting. It could be anything about any other situation also. So situation-based questions and the response of the candidate is something which, in fact, gives us deeper insight into what is it that a particular student has in him, which qualifies him to be a part of the program.
You all will be surprised to know that I was asked the similar question on moonlighting during my interview at Soil. So that tested my ethical and values sort of pointers.
And I don't know what answer you gave, but I hope you gave a good answer.
Yeah, that is why I got in. So my next question is another important aspect in capacity for action, which is related to initiative, ownership, or execution. What kind of examples genuinely stand out to you during an interview process?
You see, we have a wonderful. I think the team of Dheeraj and his team members. They have created a very beautiful mechanism of having a group exercise. Now, this group exercise is primarily an exercise whereby some 7, 8, 10 people are brought together. None of them know each other, and a situation is given to them, and then they are told to actually find out solutions. So they have to collaborate and find out. So there are multiple things that they actually have to we judge in that group exercise. The first thing that we judge is whether this particular person has people agility or not. People agility means when different people are brought together who do not know their background, but they have to work together for a common cause. So personal biases are not there. There are no preconceived notions about anybody, but all of them are working towards one specific goal that we have to solve this particular problem. So you collaborate on the spot, and your ability to collaborate on the spot is something which is actually a big quality which most companies require, and that is what we also want to test. Now, during this process, we see who is taking an initiative in terms of what should be the process of going, because nobody knows anybody.
Mhm.
So how do we start this initiative? There is a limited time. There's a 1 hour's time. In this 1 hour, somebody has to start. Somebody has to create a structure. Somebody has to actually think in terms of what will be the different steps. Now, there are people who will actually take the initiative to say, okay, now I will take the lead by first of all discussing and breaking the problem into smaller pieces. Then let us actually discuss who is going to take which part of that particular problem. And then what happens is then there's a sudden and suddenly one particular person will come up with a different sort of a concept. Now, this is where mental agility is checked. I was talking about one solution. My fellow team member comes up with a different solution. Now, either you reject him outrightly, that means not you are not open to feedback, or you see to it that how can you merge your solution and his solution and together and come up with a third solution which will probably embrace both the ideas. Now, this is what is called mental agility, your ability to, in fact, adapt to changing situations because of a better idea coming in or a different idea coming in. No idea is good or bad unless the fruits of that particular exercise are finally decided. So the mental agility becomes important. Now, there is one typical situation where I say, after this group exercise, when they go in for a personal interview, most of the time the interviewers will ask you a question. Okay, so you were in this particular group exercise and you were given this problem. Now, if you have to go back and actually reflect and say, okay, the problem is again with you, you have to tell me which is that particular idea that you would like to back and which is that team member that you would like to, in fact, consider as your partner if you are an organization. Now, the logic that he will give of choosing one particular partner or two partners to be a part of his own venture, or the logic that he will give that why this particular solution was better, and his ability to reflect back and improve on his previous solution will probably give us a deeper insight into whether he has got critical thinking ability or not. So these are some of the situations where, in fact, I think the candidate has to be very candid. He has to be very honest in terms of whether he's actually thinking the right way or not. And there is no right or wrong answer in this. This is a typical, a case study method of approaching a particular problem. There are multiple solutions. The only thing is each solution be structured and it should actually have a proper, mechanism through which you are approaching the particular problem. So these are certain things which are normally done in a personal interview. Personal interviews are not about asking and rejecting candidates on the basis of do you know the GDP of India? Do you know, what is the per capita income of India? These are all very, these are archaic questions. You might know, you might not know, but that is not going to make you a good or a bad candidate. But your ability to use your mind to solve a particular problem or approach a problem, maybe you're not able to solve it, but the approach itself will actually talk 1,000 words about, your intellectual capability.
True, sir.
Dheeraj sir, Santosh sir, anything to add?
No, I fully agree with sir, and he has very well defined this particular attributes that we are looking in a candidate. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our next question. So, communication and the ability to relate often make or break interviews. From your experiences, what differentiates a strong communicator from an average one?
Yeah. So, in fact, communication is the differentiator. This I can tell you. And we say that even the best of the ideas and best of the experiences, if they are not communicated well, interviews fail.
Mhm.
And when we say, what should be the structure of this communication? I say my personal view is the communication should be, first of all, it should be in a storytelling manner. Meaning that when I speak, the person who is listening, that is the interviewer, should get excited about my story. It should not be a placid, monotonous, introduction that, oh, I am from Delhi and I studied in this school and I, got this much amount of grade and I went to college. This is not something that is actually really exciting. We say it has to be engaging, and engaging in the sense like you have to talk about not just those tangible things that you actually went through, the schooling and the college, but the intangible and the tacit things that you experienced. Something very important I'll tell you, like for example, and this is something which is now done in the corporate interviews also. A student will say, and let's give an example. Uh, for example, when I ask you, like, tell me something about yourself, the candidate should say like this. So I come from a small town in Western UP called Bulandshahr, the sleepy town, and I was an average student in school. I went to a government school. I was not a very extrovert student, but the sports teacher, Mr. Sharma, he was very interested in me because I was actually tall, and he said that, Mr. ANB, you should actually follow basketball. And he actually personally took interest to make me become a better basketball player. And I am today really indebted to him because by the time I was in class 10th, I became the captain of the basketball team of the school. Now, as far as my learning is concerned, I think that I would lifelong remember this particular person because he has actually helped build my personality. And as a basketball player, my overall team handling ability, my collaboration ability, my problem solving ability, my goal orientation, everything changed. So from 10th till 12th, I actually started focusing more on, okay, what is it that I want to achieve? Even in academics, I used to actually fix up my targets. Okay, in mathematics, I have to get this much of score. And I actually fixed my goal of doing an MBA right when I was in class 11th. And my physics teacher at that point of time told me that you do not go in for an engineering program, you go in for a normal BSc because you want to do an MBA. I think you will be best suited if you actually build your ability to handle complex business solutions. You look for a normal graduation and build your abilities in developing relationships with people, interpersonal skills, and all that. And when I was in college, I actually was fortunate to go to Delhi University, and I got an admission in Dayal Singh College. It was not a very good college because I did not have too high a score. But in Dayal Singh College, I got the opportunity to be a part of the theatre group. And lo and behold, that was something which, in fact, told me about my ability to, in fact, influence large audience by my ability to speak. Now, I'm just giving an example. This entire, the way you are actually telling the story, the person who is listening, he gets excited. Oh, so wow. So here is a person who is actually learning something from life. It is not about the 10th, 12th, and graduation grades. It is about how he has actually has been looking at his own personality. And he is actually giving gratitude to people who have been instrumental. So these are all certain things which, in fact, are great qualities which, in fact, an interviewer would like, especially in a school like Soil and even in corporates. What are your values? Who do you give gratitude to? Who are you indebted to? Do you have names behind whoever was successful in making you what you are today? So these are certain things which, in fact, help you build your communication ability and influence people who are listening to your communication. Are you getting it?
I mean, the answer was really great. I hope the attendees took the note of how you actually answered this particular question with your storytelling skills and how anecdotal your answer was. That brings us to our next and last question from my end today. If an aspirant were to take away just one key insight about approaching interviews at Soil, what should it be?
So as far as I am concerned, I will say he should be authentic, he should show a positive attitude, and he should always have a growth mindset, which is called the learnability or the ability to pick up new things. So these are the three things. One has to be authentic. You cannot fake an interview. If you fake interview now, maybe throughout the rest of your life, you will repent. So if there are things you don't know, you can be upfront and say, okay, this is something which I don't know, but I'm open to learning. So this is something which is my one statement which I would want each candidate to keep in mind.
Dheeraj sir, Santosh sir.
And just to add again, agreeing with NB sir, just one more point. Maybe do not prepare answers, but prepare reflections, basically.
Santosh sir.
Just wanted to say, don't try to impress, right? Aim to express. That is from my side.
Very good.
Thank you for all those valuable insights. Now our floor is open to the questions that we have from students. Um,
Are you able to go through the questions, Shraddha, or let me also try?
yes, sir, I'm able to see the questions. So the first question is, what are the things panel look in freshers especially, and how should freshers not feel at a disadvantage among work ex students?
Dheeraj, you will take this question or I'll take it?
Sir, you can please proceed, sir. I'm just going through the
So
question.
freshers have an advantage. Freshers do not come with a baggage. So freshers should always consider that whenever they are being interviewed, the interviewer will know that they do not have any baggage, they do not have 2 3 years of experience, and they are biased. So they are freshers, their mind is fresh, their RAM is khali, and they can probably get to learn whatever they want. So that is one thing that freshers should always remember. The second thing, which in fact the freshers should remember, is they might not have job experience, but they have life experience. They have been in school, they have mixed with students, they have friends, they have fights, they have organized events, they were part of all sorts of things, they were in graduation, they would have done sports, and each of these they should be able to in fact talk about those things and what were the learnings in those things. So fresher is always at an advantage because he can actually talk about whatever he or she has been learning from his school days or college days. That can be encapsulated in a beautiful story format, which generally an experienced person might not be able to do it because he will most probably focus only on his work experience. So that way, I don't think the freshers are at any disadvantage until unless the college does not have a preset criteria for having minimum experience, which we have for our 1 year program.
So my next question is, somebody is asking, what exactly happens in group exercise?
I actually explained that, but I think maybe Dheeraj or Santosh can explain that once
Yeah, I
again.
think sir very well elaborately had explained about the group exercise, and I'll just try to answer the because it has been asked in the chat in a short way. Group exercise is basically we have tried to change the dimension of this group discussion to group exercise basically instead of a 10 member or 8 member sitting together and then fighting upon just to show that I am the one who can speak well or I should be the first one to speak well. It's actually it has been changed in a pattern so that people sitting together feel that they're working together, though they are not knowing each other since you can say past. But then the moment they sit together, they act as if they are sitting in an office setup where they have a problem or a situations that has come before them. Now they have to come out with an effective solution for the same using what type of creativity they would like to. Maybe a role play will help, maybe a design or caricature or something can be where they are able to communicate or explain the problem that has come up before them. It can be any kind of societal problem that will be put before them. It's not a single line or topic that is being expressed to them, rather yes, a real life based scenario problem where you have to come up with an effective solution. We don't say that that solution will be the right solution or a wrong solution, but you have to come out discussing as a team some of, and we'll be judging at the behind your leadership quality, your listening abilities, your presence of mind, your problem solving attitude, how are you behaving in a group, and all those things is part of the evaluation criteria. But group exercise is basically sitting together, working together, and coming out with something that can be beneficial for that problem that has been identified and put before you all. That's group exercise.
Thank you, sir. Really well explained. Some students are asking questions about cutoffs, NMAT, CAT, just to receive a call. So,
Okay, cutoff when I think I had taken that also, but at soil we do not have a predefined cutoff for entrance or say academic per se, but we have weightages defined for each parameter. As I said in the beginning, also we are looking for an holistic way of identifying a candidate. Going through their academic entrance and group exercise, personal interview, extracurricular activity engagement, SOPs, life map, your writing skills, and other aspects. So here, cutoff doesn't play an important role. Yes, the weightages play an important role. Higher the score will always get the higher the weightage, no doubt. But then, yes, there are weightages for your aptitude part, but attitude is always your performance there. How you're going to react and act with the group and the panelist. So there's no predefined cutoff. Yes, if I talk about the average batch, the scores that they're holding in the batch, in the past batch, if I say Santosh, you can help us, let us know about the average NMAT or NMAT, CAT, ZAT scores.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, if we refer last year NMAT score for the batch, so the NMAT score was 205, the average score for NMAT. And if we refer CAT and ZAT, so it is somewhere around 70 plus, will help the candidate to compete. So again, it could be high also. Sometimes the scores are high, but really you have to perform well in the other parameters also. So for getting the call, so this is the average score or percentile through these exams.
Hmm. Because
okay.
sometimes we look for entrance score, sometimes we are looking for the other contribution that the student, the aspirants has basically made in societal change or his own overcoming life challenges. So there are multiple things that we go through. So we suggest to candidates that do not be scared that I have a little lesser percentile here and I'll be not be able to participate or perform in life. Nothing like that. Every step is important for us, every contribution is important for us. Anything would like to add, NB sir?
Absolutely fine. I think everything is fine.
Next question. It is coming from Shreya Giridhar. What kind of questions are asked for HR specialization? And I don't have any background of any management courses, rather have of science. Does that matter? So she's asking that she comes from a science background and she wants to pursue HR specialization and don't have any management background. So does that make any difference?
Absolutely no difference. I think one should remember HR today has actually transformed completely. HR is now tech driven. HR is more about data. HR is more about analytics. And people who have a science background, they definitely have no disadvantage. Rather, they have an advantage. They will understand technology better. So that is one thing. The second thing is there is nothing as an HR specific question and a non-HR specific question. Primarily, when we look at an interview, we actually look at the attitude of an individual. We look at the overall approach that a particular person has towards a particular problem. So, like I said, learnability, relatability, critical thinking ability, and execution ability. These are the four things which are required by any manager. One should always remember whether you are in HR or in marketing or in finance or in analytics or in operations, wherever you are, end of the day, everybody wants to become the CEO of a company. And if you want to become the CEO of the company, you have to have an understanding of each and every function of the business. You
Yeah.
cannot say that I only be an HR person, I will not learn about marketing and operations, and I want to become a CEO. You can never become a CEO. You will have to understand finance also, you have to understand marketing also. Same goes for students who are actually picking up marketing or finance. They have to understand HR because end of the day, organizations are made up of people. And if you understand people better, then you will make a better CEO.
Hmm.
So absolutely fine. Your background is HR or non-HR, doesn't make any difference. You are absolutely fit to be in the HR domain.
Thank you, sir. So, next question is, what is the design thinking round in soil interview selection process?
This is already answered.
The
Yeah,
design thinking is basically the group exercise.
it's this.
And yes, all the candidates who apply at soil on the day of interview also, there will be a briefing session how this particular design thinking exercise follows, right? So we'll explain that. And prior to the interview also, they'll get a booklet once they are scheduled for the interview, like following all the process of applying, shortlisting, and then invite receiving invitation. You'll receive that information towards this design thinking exercise also, how it goes on.
Next question is from Lakshmi P. How deeply should an aspirant know their undergraduate subject if they have 1 year of gap because of work experience? Will it be more focused on work experience or both are equally important?
Both are equally important. You see, generally what happens is the subject knowledge at the graduation level is one thing, and the experience is something else. Many people have graduated in one particular field, but they actually work in some other field. So if you have an experience of 1 year, people will definitely like to focus more on your experience. What have you learned? And it is not about the company or the work that you are doing. It is more about what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about the organization? What did you learn about people? So, like I said, there are four things that one has to keep in mind. Whether did you learn anything about yourself or about the organization or about people, whether you have the ability to relate to whatever you were doing earlier, and how do you think this is going to help you in your, say, specialization in marketing or finance or HR. And the third thing is, if you have to go back and do that particular work again, how will you do it differently? Which is your ability to handle ambiguity or critical thinking ability. And then they would definitely like to understand that when you are working there for the last 1 year, or even in your graduation, what is it that you ideated and actually executed? So, remember one thing, companies do not hire people only for ideas. They will want you to hire, they will want to hire people with ideas who can execute it also. So there are three typical quadrants in a particular business strategy. We say strategy is important, people are important, but then implementation is also important. You cannot be a strategy person and not say, I'm not a people's person, I'm not an implementation person. So in an interview, these things are actually important. If you have an experience of 1 year, definitely people will ask you more about their 1 year experience and what has been your learning there.
Somebody has a doubt about scholarship, need-based scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Santosh, you can explain not only the need, you can explain about the entire scholarship categories that we follow at SOIL.
Okay. So we do offer scholarship. So there are almost five category. So in each category, you have to apply. So for scholarship process, we will open the scholarship form after the selection or the enrollment process. Then you have to apply in each category like merit based scholarship. Then there is a need based category. So in the need based category, those the family income is less than 8 lakh, they can be in that category. And then there is a Captain Vikram Batra scholarship. Those who belongs to defense background, their parents are in the army, air force, or navy, so they can be in that category. So and there is a unique achievement scholarship also. So those who have really did well in any area, whether it is academic or non-academic, so they can be in that category. So there is a separate interview round amongst all the applied candidates in the scholarship, and based on the interview performance and the panel recommendation, the candidate offered scholarship based on their performance in the rounds. And scholarship amounts, if we refer the last year scholarship offered amount, so it starts from 1 lakh to 5 lakh or 6 lakh. It depends on the performance of the candidate. It depends on the performance only. So in every category, you have to compete with each other.
So basically, these five scholarship categories will get opened once the candidate is selected through the entire selection process, enrolled for the batch, and out of the enrolled student, the student has to nominate themselves for understanding the eligibility criteria of these five categories, and then followed by there will be a separate interview by an external panel, a mix of internal panel, and based on your way of making them convince about the scholarship that you would like to look forward to, they normally there's a pool of amount that has been
Allocated.
allocated for this scholarship. So based on this thing, this has been disbursed to the students.
All right. Uh, Another question is, while participating in group exercises, are we evaluated individually or are we evaluated on group's performance?
Individually.
All right. Another question is there any residential campus hostel facility, especially for girls, available?
We do have hostel facilities for girls and boys separately, but it's not exactly the word residential where it is inside the campus, hardly a kilometer away from the campus, and there are shuttle services being provided for this. It's a walkable distance one, but yes, shuttle also is there, but not inside the campus.
That sums up. Do we have more questions?
I
You can
don't
put
think
in
so.
the chat.
Uh, No, I can see one. I think somebody has mentioned about the percentile. If I have a low percentile, whether should I look forward to know? You can definitely look forward to applying if you have a low percentile with the confidence level that I'll be able to perform better in the other categories, maybe the group exercise or the personal interview or my SOPs that should be impressive enough. If not, if then I should be definitely looking for appearing in next level of entrance exam that is coming by, maybe the coming CMAT, MAT, GMAT,
Gmail.
so that you're able to improve your score, and then you can add to your profile, which can make you eligible, or you can say increase the chance of your name coming in the next list. So
So
that.
just want to add one thing. If any candidate is applying in multiple exams, for example, they have appeared for CAT and MAT or ZAT also. So we will take the best one amongst all three, all the best scores. Right. For example, if anyone having low score in CAT or maybe they're appearing in ZAT, and if they scored well in ZAT exam, so we will consider the ZAT exam score. We'll take the best one.
They don't have to apply again. The same application form will be upgraded the moment you give us an updated score. Yes, Shraddha.
Um, I don't think. Yeah, you answered. Can we apply through multiple exams? That has already been answered.
Yeah.
Somebody is asking, I don't have any specific profile like a dancer or a player. So shall I apply to colleges which are profile based?
Yes, yes, yes. See, as we said in the beginning, there are multiple way of looking to a candidature profile. It is academic, entrance, extracurricular activity, your team building abilities, creativity, critical thinking, problem solving attitude. There are a lot of things that we are looking into a candidate. If you do not have certain things as a profile in your basically resume, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not a dancer or a singer, I cannot apply. It's nothing like that. Maybe you're good at something else, right? You might lose 1 or 2 marks in a certain area, but you might be good in some other aspects which can give you another 20 marks. That can happen, right?
Um, Another question, what are the average placements of PGPM and PGDM HR of the current batch?
Santosh can explain us about.
Okay, I'll tell you the overall placement for PGDM batch and PGPM batch both, right? So if we refer last year average placement for PGDM, so that was 11.2, right? And if we see the average placement for top scorer, like top 50% of the batch, so the average was 15.40. So that was for PGDM, right? And if we look for PGPM, so the highest was 20 lakh and average is 11 plus, the average for HR, right? And there also, if we look top 50% of the batch, so it was 13.70 for PGPM HR. And the overall placement for PGPM, like percentage wise, so it is 94% overall batch placed. And some of opt out for placement because of their family business or the other reasons.
For more
So also
detailed,
you can, yeah, they can refer the placement report from the website. So detailed placement report is already updated there, so they can refer.
yeah, I think that should help them to
Uh,
go through it in
Indeed.
detail. And then, in case they come across any kind of query, they can always write to us or get in touch with over the phone.
I will take this opportunity to clarify a few things to the candidates.
Yes, sir.
Placement is a function of four things. First is your graduation, second is your past experience, third is your learning at soil, and the fourth is your attitude. These are the four things. Now, we cannot do anything about your graduation, we cannot do anything about your experience, but we give you the best of learning at soil, and we are known to help you to build your attitude. Now, if you are, say, for example, an ordinary BA graduate, and you have, say, for example, a 1 year of experience, and then you are aspiring to join for some other IT sector, say Infosys or an HCL, then what is most important is what have you learned during this 1 year period at soil, and how is your attitude. So you can actually do a great job if you are picking up the best learning from soil and you have developed the right attitude. So please don't be biased by the averages or the maximum or the minimum that are written there, because it is very specific to people with a specific background.
Background.
But yes, one thing is guaranteed: if you have the right attitude and if you can make the most of the learnings at soil, I think you will definitely have a very good career for yourself.
Very rightly said, sir.
Next question is coming from Rahul. I have applied for 1 year PGPM. I have more than 10 years of experience in design and I want to get into marketing. Would companies be looking for these kinds of candidates?
So typically, we say that the ideal experience that is meant for a PGPM 1 year program is somewhere around maximum 4 to 5 years. A 10 year experience is definitely a much higher experience. And there would be companies who would probably not want to entertain people with 10 years of experience. But having said that, there are opportunities which can be created by your own effort. You can actually reach out to specific sectors where you have already had an experience, and maybe those companies can create opportunities for you. It might not be a campus interview, campus placement, but it can be specific for your specific profile. However, we prefer to have candidates which have around, say, 4 to 5 years of maximum 6 years of experience.
Another very interesting question. What answers or gestures or points can have a negative impact on interview panelists?
There could be many such things which can actually have a negative impact. So first of all, when you are trying to cook up stories and the threads do not match, so you're talking about something and then the facts actually are something else. You say you have worked somewhere, but you cannot explain. Most of the people, what they do is in their resume, they will write all sorts of things that they have done in the past. But when the interviewer asks them, okay, tell me what were you actually doing, they are not able to talk about it. So that is why I said authenticity is the key. Write whatever you have done and say whatever you can do. One should not actually try to cook up stories or fake stories, because that is something that an interviewer will quickly find out. Because all interviewers are actually, they are, tenured interviewers. They have had 25, 30 years of experience in the workspace. So do not do that. And always be a good listener. I think if you're not a good listener, you you keep coming back and say, okay, sir, can you repeat the question? If you do this a couple of times, it actually is a negative thing. That means you are not attentive, you are not fully present. So one has to be fully present, listen fully, be observant, and then be authentic. So these are certain things which in fact one should keep in mind. Dress properly, come, be courteous. Don't be shaggy in your dress. Shave properly and come. If you have a beard, have it trimmed well. So certain things which in fact goes along with the management student, those have to be reflected at the time of the interview. I think those are important.
Narna is asking, as I'm giving my second attempt this year without any work experience, what about the chances I've to get shortlisted?
Is he looking for a 2 years program or 1 year program, Shraddha? Anything that he
Can
has
you?
mentioned?
She's not mentioned that.
Okay, fine. Then we can take in general. Second attempt this year is we did not get the clarity is like attempting an entrance exam or looking forward for the program. But in case if it is entrance exam, then that makes no difference to us. The highest score will be counted and valid score of current year. If it is a second
She
attempt towards interview process, the student has to go through the entire process again. It's not that the past year's application will be counted or the student was selected last year and will be selected this year in process. Nothing like that. The student has to go the entire process because there are a lot of changes that keeps happening in terms of evaluating rubrics plus process. So it's a fresh start basically. And then just me anything that she had asked further adding to that thing.
she's saying she's asking for PGDM 2 year program.
Okay, so the answer remains the same. It's all a fresh start that and effort and best the things that because it's a second attempt, she has already tasted something that was good or bad. Probably she can now change that and make it into an advantage kind of thing. That yes, I should not be repeating those mistakes that I did in the last interviews, maybe. Right.
Uh, um, I think we've covered almost all the questions.
Good, fine. Thank you, Shraddha, for helping us in going through all the questions, clubbing them together, and then letting us know, helping the students also to understand what they wanted to ask, basically, and then ANB sir helping a lot in explaining the students. Over to you, Shraddha. Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you, Shraddha, and thank you, Dheeraj and Santosh, and thank you, the students, for these wonderful questions. If you have more questions, you can always write to us, and I think any of us can actually be happy to answer them.
Definitely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you to our panelists. I hope this session gave clarity and confidence for attendees to prepare for the upcoming interview process.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Shraddha. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you all.